I'm Diane Dayton. We're at the Farm Show with the chair of the Cheese Committee, Kerry. Thanks for taking time.
Thanks for coming over.
I love cheese.
Great.
So, how many different types of cheeses were a part of the competition?
Well, we had 13 classes of cheese, and when we talk about different types, we have some classes like cheddar and Swiss that are very distinctive, but we have other classes such as soft cheese from cow's milk. We had ricotta, we had cork, we had some other spreadable cheeses, we had cottage cheese, so it's sometimes kind of hard to quantify how many types. We have a category called semi-soft, soft, and hard cheese from goat's milk and from cow's milk. And there, it's not really a type. We kind of categorize it by texture more than anything, semi-soft and soft and hard cheeses. So this allows cheesemakers to be really innovative and develop their own unique recipes based on cool things in their pasture or their passions or the flavor profile they want. So it's kind of a little hard to say how many types of cheese. There's thousands of types of cheese out there.
Right. Ongoing.
Yep.
So how do you go about judging cheese?
Okay, well, right now I'm the chair of the cheese committee in the competition, so I run the competition, but I am also a cheese judge, and I don't get to judge for this competition, so that's a little bit hard for me. But when I judge cheese, the first thing we look at is the appearance of the wheel. We request for this competition that you send in cheese the way it is made. So if you're making a 40-pound block, we want to see the whole block. If you're making a 4-ounce chev that's a nice pyramid shape, we want to see a couple of those. We have one cheesemaker that makes his Swiss cheese in 200-pound blocks, so we get the whole block in. And what we do is we look at the block or the shape. If it's supposed to be a round, we want to see it nice and round. If it's a block, we want to see squares. We want to see it looking nice and symmetrical, nice shape. We look at the way you package that, making sure you're taking care to package that. Then we open it up, kind of assess the surface of the cheese, looking at color variation or lack of if we're looking for uniformity. A whole lot of different things on the appearance. And then we will take a sample of it, and the first thing we do, whether we cut it or with a trier, is we smell it. We want to get that first whiff of that aroma to see if there's any off flavors to that. Then we'll taste it, and we're looking for different flavor profiles, which I'll explain in just a second. We may play with it on our fingers to see how that cheese breaks down, particularly with cheddars. That's something we always do, is play with it a bit. And then kind of just see how that flavor cleans up in our mouths. So we have two different types of judges at this competition. One is a technical judge. They are experts in the industry. They're coming from either industry or academia or a USDA cheese grader. And they know from experience what a cheese should be like. So they're looking, I have an idea in my head of what a young cheddar should be, what an aged cheddar should be, and I'm going to taste that cheese and I'm going to look for defects, for things that aren't quite right. And I'm going to deduct some points from my total given score. And each competition has different score levels. For our competition, our technical judges get 65 points. We also have what's called an aesthetic judge, and they tend to be more cheese mongers that you see in stores, cheese writers. They're coming more from the consumer side, and they're going to look at a cheese with a little bit more of an eye to how it's going to sell. They're going to use attributes more like creamy and buttery, and it has this nice flavor, and they're going to add points. And for our competition, we give our aesthetic judges 35 points, and then we take that total score. Other competitions, you see only technical judges or different combinations of technical and aesthetic. So each cheese takes somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes to really do a good in-depth judging of that cheese, sometimes a little bit longer. And then we take the top 3 scoring cheeses in each class, and those are awarded first, second, and third. And after all of the cheeses are given that in-depth evaluation, we take the top scoring cheese in each class, we put them out on the table, and the judges all go through and they pick their favorite. So it's somewhat of a popularity contest, but we all know that they're the best technical in their category, and it's sort of what you like, what you think really embodies the best cheese there, and that's where our top 3 best in show cheeses come from. It's just the first, second, and third that are chosen by our judges.
So the top 3 are?
Top 3 are, this year they are St. Malachi from the Farm at Doe Run in Coatesville. Second is Seven Sisters from the Farm at Doe Run in Coatesville, and third place is Hootenanny by Goat Rodeo Farm and Dairy out of Allison Park.
Is there anything we don't really know about cheeses that we should know, like the aging process? That's always been an interesting question.
You know, I think consumers don't know a lot about cheese. We eat a lot of varieties, but there's so much more out there, and every cheese is different. So when somebody asks me about how do you age cheese, I'm like, well, are you talking about a brie? Are you talking about a blue? Are you talking about a Swiss? Somebody this morning at the booth asked how long it takes to age cheese. I said, well, you can have cheddar. Typically a cheddar is at least 1 month old. I've had a 15 15-year cheddar. I've known of a 30 to 40-year-old cheddar. Most cheddars in the grocery store are ranged between 3 months and 2 to 4 years. Blue cheese, it's going to take you 2 months just to get the blue mold development. If you're making Swiss cheese, it's going to take a couple months just for the bacteria to give you enough gas to get the eye formation. So it's really interesting to me, all of the different nuances with the varieties of cheese that are out there.
So if we were to try one of the cheddars, that 30 plus years, what is that going to taste like?
What that's going to taste like, first of all, it's going to be dry and it's going to be crunchy, because what's going to happen is the proteins are going to start to, you're going to lose a lot of moisture and you're going to start to see some crystallization. So as the proteins break down, you're going to get amino acids, one in particular called tyrosine, that's going to make a crystal, and it's crunchy, and you might get a little bit of sweetness out of it, and just this really great in-depth flavor. But it's not something you're going to slice and put on a sandwich. It's going to be pretty crumbly, but really delightful. And most people that are going for cheddars that old, they're not eating them with crackers or apple pie or anything. It's just right in your mouth the way it is.
Crazy question. Do you have a favorite cheese?
You know, a lot of people ask me that question, and I do not have a favorite. I have some favorite styles. I like alpine cheeses. I really like goat cheeses, particularly bloomy rinds. I probably have 5 or 10 top cheeses. It also depends on the year, the time of year. In the summertime, when the raspberries in my garden are ripe, a triple cream brie and a baguette makes a phenomenal sandwich. In the wintertime, when there's a fire in the fireplace, either a fondue or there's a cheese called Harbison out of Vermont that's really creamy inside. Sometimes for breakfast, just apple and a good cheddar works.
You're making me hungry, you know that, right?
And we're standing right in front of all that cheese. So if you come down to the farm show, you can come in and taste some of the cheese. We've got our cheesemakers selling cheese and sampling cheese all week.
That sounds really good to me. And you know, you've given me some information that I can use for my granddaughter. So when she's playing with her cheese and she gets in trouble, she's going to be saying that she's working on evaluating her cheese, correct?
Yes. And you know, I teach a lot of cheese courses, and one of the things I say when I teach evaluation is, because we teach you to play with it, so this is the fun of being a food scientist, because we get to play with our food and we get paid for it. So we're allowed to do that. So if she's going to, you know, start to play with her food, teach her to be a food scientist.
I think that's a great idea. And thank you for taking time to play with us and tell us a little bit more about cheeses. This is fascinating. I love it.
Thank you for coming by.
Absolutely. We're at the farm show.